Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you here inside the Chicago Theater as we get set for the post-event press conference here in the Madison Square Garden Chicago Theater. A great night here at Bellator 14. We saw 4 individuals move on in the tournament bracket, and we saw a sensational fight in the women's division. We have fighters representing all 5 of those fights. They'll be speaking with you, the press, and the fans here at tonight's press conference. For those of you joining us live on Bellator.com, we welcome you as well to the heart of Chicago here at Madison Square Garden's Chicago Theater. Without further ado, he'll be taking care of tonight's press conference. He's the man with the vision. He's the founder and CEO of Bellator Fighting Championships. Would you please welcome Bjorn Rebney?
Thanks, Mike. You know, it was my goal to come to Chicago. This is where I live. I get to actually sleep in my own house and see my kids and at the Labrador and to put on a great show, and I think we did that tonight. We had some magical moments. We had some confusing moments. I'd like to first and foremost thank our partners here at Madison Square Garden Chicago Theater. This was spectacular. This is what I had hoped we would do in terms of the way this place would look and the way it would play, and the dichotomy between this magical old school Frank Sinatra-esque type of facility where you'd think Pavarotti would be coming out and playing and getting guys, some of the greatest athletes in the world, to get into a cage and fight. And I just thought that the majesty of those two kind of worlds meeting was spectacular. When I first saw this, I was like, God, it would be great to do an event here, and it was. Start off with the first fight of the night in terms of our tournament. Pat, spectacular stuff, buddy. You know, it's funny, when we did this tournament, the whole concept behind it was objectivity. The whole concept behind it was, as a fighter like a Toby Amata, who's sitting right over there, could come into it and maybe not be particularly well known, but use this as a catalyst to really put themselves in a major position. And Pat, with one overhand shot, you did that tonight in a really impressive way, and I can only imagine that people around the country right now, you know, you come from a lineage of spectacular kind of MMA royalty, and now you put yourself into that position, and that's exactly what I was hopeful people would do. Mike got caught. Guys get caught. That's the nature of the game. I was downstairs talking to Mike, and he's doing okay. He's heading over to the hospital just to get checked out, but Pat Curran's spectacular performance, and I think a lot of people around the country, myself included, are looking forward to seeing you fight again.
Well, like I said, when I was in the cage, I didn't know what happened, because from my position, obviously throwing the choke on, I couldn't really see anything. I watched it on the monitor a couple times after, though, and Ryan, it was pretty tight. I don't think you were getting out, and you might have even been asleep, so I think it's time for you to accept defeat graciously. I gave you the benefit of the doubt at the beginning, but after watching it over and over again, it sure looked like it was over, and you weren't going anywhere.
Yeah, the choke, he had one side blocked off, my other side was fine. That's why I wasn't moving. The more squirming you do, I had this blocked, this whole side was fine. And if I'd have did more squirming, it would have just made the choke tighter. And I felt fine, that's why I didn't move this hand. A good ref would have lifted this hand up that I was framing with, and if it drops, then I'm out. But I kept it there. I was fine, that's why I wasn't moving. I didn't feel like the world closed in on me, like I was just fine. It's just a shame that the fans got cheated out of that. Ben got cheated out of more cage time. He could have used more cage time for the next experience. Nothing to take away from Ben. Ben came out and fought his ass off. It's not his fault. It's just a bad call by the referee. I look forward to being in the next tournament, and if I hope Ben goes all the way and fights my buddy Hornbuckle in the championship. I hope the best for him. But if Ben doesn't go all the way and he gets beat, I'd hope to fight him again, and in this season. I want a chance at him, and that's about it. Yeah. And in the next season, I really want to fight that referee first fight.
Okay, let's repeat the question for the folks that are joining us at Bellator.com. A question for Ryan asking if he'll petition to try to overturn the decision.
I talked to my manager after the fight, and he said he's going to appeal it. So I don't know a lot about that stuff, but I think it's the right thing to do.
Bjorn and Ben and Ryan, tournament aside, I guess a budding storyline here. Is there interest on your part, Bjorn answer first, on see maybe just fight them again sometime in the future?
So the question goes to Bjorn asking about the interest of seeing these two gentlemen fight once again at Bellator.
Well, sure. I mean, it started out at the weigh-in between the two of them, and then it went into the cage, and then it ended in odd fashion in the cage, and then continues here at the press conference. So, they're two world-class fighters, and then there's also a storyline behind it. So, absolutely, I'd like to see them fight again. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen next in the tournament. We don't know where Ben's going to go, and if Ben's going to win in the next round and make it to the finals of this tournament and ultimately fight in June. So, a lot of unanswered questions, but that's what makes the tournament so cool. Is that Ben can win in the next round and make it to the finals, and then ultimately end up fighting Lyman Good for our world title at 170 pounds. Or Ben could lose in the next round. And if Ben loses in the next round, the opportunity to kind of put this situation right from a perception standpoint, in terms of what some people saw and other people disagreed with, is surely something you do, because you got two world-class fighters who've got a background and a story. So you do it. But right now, Ben Askren's moving on. We're going to get Ryan scheduled to fight again, and we're going to see what happens from there. But yeah, of course, you'd want to see that continue. You got two great fighters. You'd like to see it continue.
Jason, back.
This is for Bjorn. Bjorn, you guys have become really international lately, and you've been signing some Canadian fighters. I was just wondering, for season 3, do you guys have any plans to go into Canada?
So the question to Bjorn is about international fighters and or signings of Canadian fighters. Question to Bjorn perhaps is international plans.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we started building this out, the concept was the greatest fighters from every corner of the globe, not to specifically look toward the United States as a location where you were going to try to funnel most of your talent from. Canada gave us some great fighters in this tournament. Mike got very unlucky, and Pat delivered a spectacular performance today. And we'll see what happens as the tournament moves on. Sean pulled a hamstring, so he's out of the Hornbuckle fight. But yeah, we're going to keep pulling internationally. We've got some great fighters coming in from Europe. We've got some great fighters coming in from South America for the next season. We haven't announced them yet, but we've had some great signings. A couple of Polish heavyweights that are just spectacular and dangerous and talented. So yeah, we're just going to keep pulling and keep telling the stories of guys that are coming from every corner of the globe. This sport, in terms of international licensing, in terms of television, in terms of market saturation across the globe, has just taken off. People love it. It fits in every single market. Everybody can understand it. It's got that magical combination of great simplicity and great, huge complication. And they marry themselves inside of a 30-foot cage. So it transitions across every border. So yeah, we're going to keep pulling fighters from a number of different markets. And we're going to keep expanding our international reach into other markets as well. So yeah, without question, if a fighter is a talented fighter, regardless of whether he or she can speak English as a first language, or have great hair or no hair, or have a terrific backstory or no backstory, they'll be in our tournament.
Just a follow-up. What are your chances you might want to be hiring another Canadian 170 or 185er? Maybe a reporter?
Question is, we have a welterweight fighter in the back of the room. It looks like, Bjorn, to you, looking for more.
We're highly understaffed, and our staff is overworked, so we're always looking for great people. If they can fight, it's a huge plus. If there are no more questions, just thanks again. This was a great event. It was just magic to be here in Chicago. I think we put on a great show. I enjoyed it as a fan. I think the gentleman and the lady at this table put on a spectacular show and gave it everything they had. And it was magic being here at Madison Square Garden, Chicago Theater. And thank you guys for coming out.